the face of the future will most likely depend on the development of the internet and digital technology. Therefore, all countries in the world, including Indonesia, must always be able to catch up with the latest application of this scientific knowledge. We are now going to have a discussion with Bartek Wasik, President and co-founder of Coding Next, about coding and computer programming technology and education in Indonesia. Good morning, Pak Bartek. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Great to see you, ladies. Thanks very much for the invitation.
Of course, the pleasure is all ours. Now, Pak Bartek, before we delve deeper into coding and its significance in the shaping of the future, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about Coding Next and what made you establish it in the first place.
So I've been involved in education for almost 20 years, 18, but I'm running in nicely to the, beautiful round number of 20 years. And about 8-9 years ago, I started to see a world trend of coding going down in education path, starting as early as primary schools. And I was, frankly speaking, looking for coding schools for my two sons in Jakarta. But that time there was not much on the market, and me and my partners decided to actually establish Coding Next. It took us 2 years to prepare a program. We partnered with a Polish coding school. I and my Indonesian and Polish partners brought the local knowledge of Indonesian tech sector, but also Indonesian education sector. And after 2 years, we established Coding Next. We were registered in 2016, first students, 19 students in January 2017. And within first 9 months, we enrolled almost 500 students. So the growth was very, very fast, from 19 students up to almost 500 students within 9 months. And it showed us that, yes, Indonesia is actually ready for coding education.
Wow, that is a very significant growth.
Yes.
Now, Pak Bartek, can you please explain to our audience? I mean, we've all heard about coding, and we know that, people say coding is the future, and you say the future is now. But can you please explain to us again, why is coding so important and why children needs to learn how to code?
Okay, coding is basically another language that, children can learn. We were the first in Indonesia to teach 6-year-olds how to code, and then we moved even earlier, so now Coding Next offers actually coding classes for 4-year-olds. We believe that coding is basically a language of the future. How we try to explain it to students and parents, because a lot of people still are asking, that famous Indonesian question that I've heard maybe 1,000 times. Coding, Mr. Bartek, apa itu? And then we always say that coding is basically the way of communicating with technology devices that surround us. When we look at our lives, we have smartphones, we have smart TVs, we have laptops, we have fridges that, can communicate via internet. We've got a lot of technological equipment, and we need to know how to communicate with this equipment. And this is what coding is. Teaching coding in principles is basically like teaching a foreign language. In Coding Next, we believe that students nowadays, they have to speak their own mother tongue, because the knowledge of, in our case, Indonesian, only when students are able to speak fluently Indonesian, they can move to speak another language. The first language, of choice is always English. English is an international language, but we believe that coding is basically like English nowadays.
Wow.
When we monitor, future employees, it's not like 10-20 years ago. We don't get CVs where, our candidates write, "Oh, I know how to use MS Word," or "I know how to use Excel." This is something that everyone knows already. So we believe that, coding and knowing coding languages like Python, like JavaScript, these are the skills of the future.
Okay. That's a very interesting analogy, Pak Bartek, that you just used right now, that coding is basically a language that you need to learn. So in that sense, how can kids be fluent in it? How do you get proficient in coding so you can communicate with technology as well as people need to actually be a part of the changing of the future, as you mentioned before?
Kids are very capable learners. When we watch our kids, kids are basically like sponges. Whatever you give them, they will absorb, and they learn technology very, very fast. Asian kids in particular, we had so far more than 15,000 sold courses in Indonesia, more than around 10,000 students. And we've noticed that Indonesian students actually were learning faster than Polish students, for example. When we partner with our Polish partners, we prepared some courses knowing Polish market. And then when we moved those courses to Indonesia, we had to change a lot of those courses because the learning pace was too slow. Indonesian kids were faster, because they were surrounded by iPads, iPhones, tablets, laptops. They were very, very efficient in those devices, and when they were learning much, much faster. After being on the market for more than 7 years, and as I mentioned, more than, at this moment, it's close to 20,000 courses sold. We've already established the proper pace for the Indonesian market, but we keep learning. Learning coding and offering coding classes is unlike teaching English. When you teach English, 80% of the knowledge is pretty much the same over the last 20 years. In coding, it's very, very dynamic. What was popular 7, 8 years ago is not popular anymore. Now we teach new things. So our school is very, very updated with those technologies. We watch what's happening in the world, and we keep offering new courses just to make sure that our students stay up to date with the world's leading courses.
Mr. Bartek, can you please explain more about the programs that is offered by Coding Next? And we've also heard that you have coding boot camps. Can you please explain more about what boot camp is this?
Yeah, so what we believe in Coding Next, that anyone can learn coding. We have coding classes for, as I mentioned, kindergarten students, primary school students, middle high school, but we also offer courses for the adults. Believe that coding and learning coding, it's especially, you've mentioned boot camps. Boot camp, it's basically a very, very intensive course where adults decide to learn a skill that hopefully they will use in career. Sometimes there are programmers who need extra knowledge, they need extra practice, but sometimes are people, this is very popular in Europe and in America, that people decide to change careers. Someone used to be a bartender or, office employee, and suddenly they go for intensive boot camps, 2-3 months of, intensive daily learning, and they become junior programmers, and they are able to make, websites, mobile apps, and enter the tech sector. In Indonesia, frankly speaking, there are plenty of companies or schools that offer boot camps. So the choice for potential IT sector employees is pretty big. For coding for kids and teenagers, there are a few major players. We are one of the largest on the field. But yes, as I mentioned to you, we believe that anyone can learn coding. So we encourage, mothers, fathers, learn with your kids, learn how to make a website. And maybe if you make a simple website for your own business or for your own hobby or for your own pleasure, and you will not have to rely on a programmer to do it for you, then, this is going to be great personal success and, an amazing feeling because you've created something, on your own.
Oh, wow. See, Luisa, maybe we can be coders as well.
We can actually jump in.
We can jump in and start learning with our kids. So, Pak Bartek, it's really interesting how you actually maybe have established a coding community with Coding Next. But having said that, has there been any challenges and opportunities that you have encountered while building this new generation of coders in Indonesia? Maybe you can share us your experiences?
Yes. Yeah, there are plenty of opportunities and plenty of challenges that you mentioned. Indonesia is a huge country with huge potential. Me and my business partner Mateusz, he's done market research, and he estimated that there are 72 million kindergarten, primary, middle, and high school students. 72 million. Just to show you how big the number is, several countries in Europe put together wouldn't be, up to 72 million. Countries like, Holland, only 14 million, Sweden, 10 million, or 8 or 10 million, Czech Republic, 10 million. And in Indonesia, you've got 72 million of young learners. And we believe that all of those learners will eventually learn coding, because nowadays coding really enters not only international programs, but also enters local programs. Indonesian government already foresees that yes, every child in Indonesia will be learning actually coding, which is great. The challenge is Indonesia. It's a huge country, and in a lot of the cases, teaching students in remote areas, it's a huge challenge. We've developed our own online platform where students can log in, watch videos, and with the help of a teacher from Coding Next, but also our partner schools, they can learn coding. But let's face it, sometimes internet it's not helping. You need a stable connection to actually load the videos, watch the videos, and sometimes live talk to the teachers from Jakarta on other parts of Indonesia. So for me, probably the biggest challenge would be on a equipment side, on the technology side. But I believe that over next 3 to 5 years, the situation will definitely get better.
Of course, as technology improves, I feel like, of course, this generation is definitely going to improve their capacity and their quality in engaging with the technology these days. Now, just hold on there, Mr. Bartek, because we are about to read just a news about the gold medalist of Tokyo Olympics 2020, David Tomala, who has also expressed his commitment to help the development of coding education in Indonesia through Coding Next, a technology educator community.
David Tomala, the police race walker who won gold medal for the men's 50 kilometers category in 2020 Tokyo Olympics on Sunday, October 15, expressed his commitment with Coding Next to develop coding education in Indonesia. Together with Coding Next, Tomala is working on a project called Olympian's Mind to spread his spirit and thoughts to young generations with interest of coding education. Tomala said that he was very excited to be part of the collaboration, and he hoped that the young generations in Indonesia would feel the benefit through the Olympian Mind project. Coding Next founder Bartek Wasik said that the project is a proof of commitment in providing a comprehensive education to the children. He said that the project aims to assist the students to find their passion, set goals, face challenges, work efficiently, and many more. Since its establishment in 2017, Coding Next has collaborated with 50 schools in 20 locations across Indonesia and provided 50 materials on technology. With more than 15,000 courses sold, Coding Next has gained trust from a number of institutions such as Education, Culture, Technology and Research Ministry, Communication and Informatics Ministry, Marshall Cavendish Singapore, and Roblox Education.
2, 3.
Wow, that must have been exciting for everyone to actually meet a gold medalist from the Tokyo Olympics 2020, David Tomala. Pak Bartek, maybe you can tell us a little bit more. How did that come about? And how did David thought also about the coding community in Indonesia, and how has that shaped his interest in education?
Yeah, it was a very exciting time. David is now actually in Bali holidaying. I will be meeting him in Singapore in a few days' time. This idea came to my mind a year ago. I've always been very amazed over how athletes deal with daily situations, things like, stress, failure, all of those things. And as I mentioned to you, I've established Coding Next for my two sons. So whenever I decide to, establish a new course in Coding Next or new initiative, I always try to have my two sons in my mind, thinking, how can this change their life, and then had a talk. I approached David. We had a talk. He is actually not only an athlete, but he was actually a teacher. So teacher to teacher, we had a very heartful discussion, and we decided to establish a partnership because we believe that not only in Coding Next, his knowledge can be applicable. At the moment, we are recording some materials where we are teaching during our coding classes. We also teach some additional skills like not giving up or choosing passion. So this will be in all our courses in Coding Next. But we also establish a new course called Olympian Mind. It will be at this moment series of 10 courses. Each course will take about 3 hours. And we start with the first course called Passion, where myself, David, we teach young minds about passion, how they can find passion in their life, the role of the family and friends in helping them with passion, and what kind of future jobs can be linked to their passion. So our first module will be sold online. From January, we will also have offline Olympian Mind courses. But from 1st November, we will be actually selling our online courses called Olympian Mind Passion. And all of the materials are prepared by me, actually, together with David Tomala. So it's his personal experience on how he found his passion and his tips, suggestions to young minds on how they can actually choose their passion in life and how they can live fulfilled life. Because we've both agreed that there's nothing worse for people when they have to do work that they dislike. So we really encourage our students to actually think ahead and plan their life in a way that they will be working in a field that they actually are passionate about.
I think this is a really, really great idea. I mean, it's, I totally agree that passion is really an important thing. I mean, you can be smart, you can work hard, but in the end, if you are not focused and you don't know what to do with your life, it's really a big question mark later on.
Yes, indeed. Then it'll be a burden. It's not fun to do it, right?
That's right.
I think it's a great idea that you ask a gold medalist, someone who has shown determination, that sense of never giving up on your dream. But what do you think would be the next collaboration that you pursue to, again, increase people awareness of the importance of coding and how it is actually very applicable to all aspects of life?
Yes, we are always very open, so thanks very much for inviting me and, having a discussion, because more people can actually learn that coding is not this scary thing. At the very beginning, a lot of parents were saying, no, my child is not good in IT. My child doesn't want to be a programmer. But I always told them that coding at the moment, as I mentioned to you, is like a language, so you can be architect, you can be a fashion designer, you can be whoever you want to be, but you can apply your coding skills. As I mentioned, you can make your own website, you can make your own mobile app, you can do 3D design, or, you can do something with augmented reality or artificial intelligence. These are all things that will be with us now. They are already with us. They will be with us in the future. So I do believe that, anyone can learn it. So in Coding Next, we are very open to collaborate with open minds. Media, it's great that, we are invited by you so we can share this with media. I would like to actually create like a ecosystem where, educators work together, yes, with famous sports people, famous businessmen, but also media, and create the whole ecosystem where we all learn from each other. And we push the coding field more and more, so more and more students in Indonesia can actually learn how to code.
Pak Bartek, you really opened my eyes today because, to be honest, I've always thought that coding is for those kids who really like to be in front of their laptops, the calmer kids instead of active kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, as it turns out, you even collaborate with an athlete. And you've also said that even as a fashion designer or whatever profession you do, you can still learn to code because that is the future and everything will be related to technology. Now, Pak Bartek, for those who are interested to join Coding Next, can you please explain about how they can go about your programs at Coding Next, whether it's online or offline? How do they register themselves to be a member of Coding Next?
Yeah, so please visit us on codingnext.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram at Coding Next. You let us know age of your children, or is it the course maybe for you, and then we will be able to have a discussion with you and recommend you some courses for you. We offer offline courses in our 20 locations. We are very proud that we are in each time zone of Indonesia, so we've got schools from Medan up to Jayapura. So yes, we are present in 20 Coding Next locations. We are also present in 60 locations in our partner schools. And of course, we offer our courses online. So we are very, very flexible, and I'm sure that you will be able to choose something interesting for you, for your child, for anyone. Because as I mentioned, anyone can learn coding. So join Coding Next and learn with us.
All right, great. Thank you, Pak Bartek Wasik, President and co-founder of Coding Next. Thank you for sharing with us your time and your insights and inspiration. And thank you so much to everyone at Coding Next for delivering us the next generation of coders and putting Indonesia in the technology ecosystem of the world. All the best to you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, Pak Bartek.
Luisa, thanks very much. Have a great day. Thank you.
All the best.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So stay around. Stay tuned with us on Starting Point. We'll be back shortly after this break.